Only if you are out of the circus of your mind, you will be 100% free of madness. Why do we refer to the mind as a circus? A circus is not a mess. A circus is a very coordinated activity deliberately made to look like a mess. On one level it is a mess, but on another, it is a highly coordinated activity. If you look at the way neurons are firing in the brain and what is happening, there is a tremendous sense of cohesiveness in this activity. It is that cohesiveness which is translating into the functioning of the body. A billion things are happening in this body right now, simply because there is an extremely well-coordinated play and dance of neurons in the brain. But unfortunately, in most people's experience, the mind has become a mess. It is like a circus, and both aspects of a circus are there. Even the clown in the circus is a highly coordinated gymnast. The outer expression may be that of a clown, but he is extremely talented and balanced in his activity. That is the experience of most people when it comes to their mental activity. What is the possibility of this circus? This circus can take you to great heights. This circus can also render you to the depths of hell within yourself. Both these possibilities are very alive for every one of us right now. The whole thing is a question of how we conduct this circus and how much of it we take charge of. Why is it that for one person the mind seems to be a pleasant experience, while for another person the mind seems to be a torture device? Why is it that the mind, which is the most miraculous instrument and the most miraculous possibility in our life, has also become such a misery manufacturing machine? Every kind of misery that human beings are going through is manufactured in their minds. Unable to bear the mental torture, people have invented various kinds of deviations and perversions on this planet just to somehow deal with the mess of the mind. These perversions might give them temporary relief, but after some time, the perversions only multiply the mess. They do not really take it away. Your mind, that which should have been a ladder to the divine, has unfortunately become a stairway to hell, simply because it is too identified with so many things. Once it gets identified, your perception becomes distorted, and this distortion permeates every aspect of your life. People keep telling me, Sadhguru, for you the biggest thing in your life just happened unasked. Maybe you are chosen. How will it happen to us? It is not a question of anybody choosing anything for you. It is just that if you keep your intellect unidentified from anything, starting from your body, if you do not even look at yourself as a man or a woman, if you do not identify with your family, your qualifications, your society, your caste, creed, community, nation, or whatever million other identifications that you take on in your life, every human being will naturally lead himself on to his ultimate nature. If we have to experience the circus of the mind as a miraculously coordinated activity rather than as a mess, the most important and crucial thing is that your intellect is not identified with anything. There is no other way. The intellect is like a scalpel, which is constantly cutting through everything. Your ability to discriminate between one thing and the other is purely because of your intellect. You can make a distinction between the floor and the chair only because your intellect is functioning. You know that you must come through the door, not through the wall, only because your intellect is functioning. Without the activity of the intellect, you cannot discriminate. If a knife has to cut through anything effortlessly and well, it is extremely important that whatever it cuts through does not stick to it. If the residue keeps sticking to the knife, after some time, this knife becomes useless. Some of you must have experienced in your kitchens, when you cut an onion with a knife, and then cut mangoes or apples, everything tastes like an onion. Once the residue of what you cut through sticks to the knife, in many ways that knife becomes more of a nuisance than a help. Or in other words, once your intellect identifies with something or the other, it gets chained with the identifications. Once this happens, you have a completely distorted experience of the mind. Once your intellect gets identified with something, then you get all messed up. This identity is not on one level, it is on many levels. Because of this complex system of identifications, you are in a complex mess. I must share this with you. I hope it is received with the necessary understanding, because this is about a certain moment of intimacy. I grew up in such a way that right from my childhood, I could remember things that happened when I was just 2 or 3 months of age. It just did not allow me to be like a normal child. I thought like an adult. Because of this, nobody could take me on their lap or fondle me or carry me. Even though my brother and sister, who were older to me, were used to being carried and fondled, somehow it was difficult to do those things to me. I always preferred to walk alone and do my own things. My mother was a very devout and dedicated woman. For her, her whole life was her husband and 4 children. She never thought about herself. She just gave her life to us. So there was no need for her to ever express, "I love you," or anything. Such a thing was never expected. Whether she loved us or not was never a question that occurred in anybody's mind, because her whole life was for us. I developed a kind of relationship with her where, though I was the youngest in the family, I was like her elder brother in many ways. She would share things with me that she would not share with anybody else. And when I took advantage of that and joked, she would always say, "Oh, why am I sharing this with you?" On a certain day when I was just 14 years of age, because of some interaction, somehow she grew a little tender and expressed her love to me. She was not necessarily saying, "I love you," but somehow she expressed it. For me, it was very matter of fact. I just asked her, "If I was born in the next house, would you still feel like this about me?" It hurt her very much. She broke down and went away. I did not intend to hurt her. I just asked a simple question. These questions were constantly going on in me about everything, not just about one thing. And after some time she came, tears still in her eyes, fell at my feet and went away. I felt that was good for her. Some kind of realization happened within her. I am saying this because our ways of thinking and feeling are so deeply identified with things we are associated with: our body, our parentage, our children, our wife, our husband, our home, with just about anything and everything. My grandfather used to always eat from a gold-rimmed plate. He was a rich and very proud man. Even when he traveled, another gold plate had to travel with him. Suppose the plate was not there, he just would not eat. The same damn food, what is the problem whether you eat from a gold plate or a steel plate? Okay, so you want to do things in style. But the identification with something as simple as that is so deep that if he ate from another plate, he would become sick. His stomach would be disturbed. Your identifications are so very deep with big things and small things. Once you are identified like this, your mind is a mess of a circus. It will never rise to any great peak, it will just be a mess. Once you are very deeply identified, it is better not to insult the circus by calling your mind a circus. It is more of mental diarrhea because it is just going on non-stop, endlessly. This cannot be stopped with a pill. People have tried drinks, drugs, and all kinds of things, but it cannot be stopped that way. Only when you get disidentified, when you are able to be involved but not entangled, only then it can stop.